Let's move on to part 2 of our subject Human Resource Management and the first module, that is Introduction to HRM. In the last video, we have covered the basic concept of HRM, functions, importance and distinguish between. In this, we will be covering concept, job analysis and job design. This is the disclaimer. This video is being made for Institute of Distance and Open Learning, University of Mumbai. So this is the syllabus that we've discussed in the previous video. So I am not going to explain this. And we are going to cover part 2 of this module in this particular video. Under HRP, we will be covering its concept and steps. Under job analysis, we will be covering its concept and components. And under job design, we will be covering concept and techniques. What is HRP? HRP stands for Human Resource Planning. We can see the definition written on the slide. HRP is the systematic process of identifying manpower requirements in terms of quality and quantity to undertake organizational objectives and to achieve organizational goals. So basically, what are we going to learn in HRP? We are going to understand हमारे कंपनी के मैन पावर रिक्वायरमेंट्स क्या हैं. सबसे पहले तो कितने हैं इन टर्म्स ऑफ क्वांटिटी और वो कैसा है इन टर्म्स ऑफ क्वालिटी. अगर जितना है हमारे पास उतना सही है तो हमें कोई एक्शन लेने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. लेकिन मैन पावर रिक्वायरमेंट्स को आइडेंटिफाई करना इज़ अ वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट स्टेप ऑफ ह्यूमन रिसोर्स प्लानिंग. Because only after you do human resource planning, you will take an appropriate decision whether you need to, whether you have to recruit, select, take interviews, downsize, remove people, okay, train people. So there are a lot of decisions that are dependent on human resource planning. So let's move to the steps or the process of HRP. The first step of HRP is to review the organizational objectives. When I say review the organizational objectives, every organization has certain objectives. So the HR manager will determine whether the company has that particular workforce to achieve those objectives. So in this stage where we review the organizational objectives, the company needs to do a job analysis. Once the objectives of the organization are reviewed, the HR forecast requirements are reviewed. What are HR forecasting? You can see the first point on your left hand side, that is HR requirements forecast. So what is HR requirements forecast? What is the requirement in our company in terms of human resources, and that too कौन से दो बिना पर? In terms of quantity and quality. Quantity is the number of employees and quality is the knowledge, attitude and skills. Now, we will check the supply. Please excuse me. What is the supply forecast? Availability of manpower in the market. Okay, so are they available within the organization or they have to be hired from the labor market? That is the supply. Okay, and what is the demand? How many requirements or how many employees do we need is the demand. Okay, so now we will create a comparison of the demand and the supply. So now if the requirements we have is enough, then we will not take any action. Okay, when we see differences, there are two options. Either there is a surplus or there is a shortage. If there is a surplus, that means we have more number of workers than required. If there are more number of workers than required, then you can lay off, downsize, you will, reduce their working hours, you'll have to do restricted hiring. But if there are shortage of workers, you will resort to recruitment and selection. So if you go to see, there are 3 actions that could be taken if you find a difference. So the first action is no action, where your demand is equal to your supply. The second one is surplus. If there is a surplus, you will reduce the working hours, you will give them VRS, you will lay them off, you will downsize. Okay. And if there is shortage, you will go for recruitment and selection. So once all this is done, मान लो that you are recruiting and selecting people, you need to motivate the manpower by giving them monetary and non-monetary benefits. And then this is not a one-time process. So you will continuously have to monitor HR requirements. So suppose you have selected somebody and still that is not enough for your organization. Again, you have to start the same process and check your human resource requirements in terms of quantity and quality. So what have we learned from this slide? That HRP is a continuous process. HRP is you have to identify or forecast your manpower requirements in 2 terms, that is quantity and quality. Quantity matlab number of employees, quality matlab how they should be. And then there are 3 conditions. If the demand is equal to supply, you don't have to take any action. If there is shortage, you will do recruitment and selection. And if there is surplus, you will either do an early retirement, you will lay them off, or you will downsize them. Downsize matlab आप जितने लोग हैं उनको कम कर देंगे. Okay, so these are the steps in human resource planning. So let's now move on to job analysis. What is job analysis? Job analysis is the process of identifying and collecting information relating to the operations and responsibilities of a specific job. Yani, whatever an employee does related to his job, when you describe that particular job, and you also have to identify who will be suitable to do that job. So basically, job analysis is the overall sum total of tasks, duties and responsibilities that is assigned to individual employees. So the HR manager has to take or has to do job analysis. Before even recruiting and selection, the HR manager has to conduct a job analysis. So job analysis is divided into 2 areas, that is job description and job specification. So what is job description? Job description gives the details of the job with reference to its job title, duties and responsibilities, location, working conditions. Okay, it gives an overall summary of the job requirements. According to Edwin Flippo, a job description is an organized factual statement of duties and responsibilities of a specific job. In brief, it should tell what is to be done, how it is to be done, and why it is to be done. Who is to do it is job specification. So the 3 questions that one needs to know or the HR manager needs to know when it comes to job description is what is to be done, how it is done, and why it is done. Okay. Now, when a company lists its job description, you must have seen advertisements in the newspapers stating that required an accounts manager. Okay, so accounts manager, the duties and responsibilities of an accounts manager would include, okay, knowledge of tally. Okay, then we will say that his shift timings would be so and so, location of job is so and so. These are the perks or the facilities that the company will provide. All of this comes under job description. So let us now go point by point to understand the components of job description. The first component of job description is job identification. Job identification gives details related to the job title, the code number, the occupation, the location, which department, right? So basically you also provide the job designation in terms, and that you will define and you will call it as job identification. What is job summary? Job summary gives the details of the job contents in terms of the tasks that are to be performed. So let's say, if a worker is working in front of the machine, so he will be told that, this is a hazardous machine. So if you have any health complications, you can, then you can take a decision to stay away from that particular job. Okay, so that is job summary. Next is the duties and responsibilities. So what you are expected to do. So now you have to maintain records. You will be given training. You have to train others. You will be supervised, or you have to supervise. All these come under duties and responsibilities. Next is machines and tools. It states the types of machines, tools and equipments that you will be using to perform the job. So if it's a factory, they will mention the name of machines you will be using. If it is a desk job, today technology is improved a lot. So, you will be told that this is the software or the hardware that you will be using in terms of machines and tools. Next one is supervision. What is supervision? It is the extent of supervision which the job is subject from higher levels, and the extent of supervision which the job holder has to exercise over his subordinates, if any. Okay, so superior and subordinate कौन है? कितने extent तक उसका supervision होगा? कितने extent तक उसे किसी और को supervise करना पड़ेगा? All this comes under the concept of supervision. Coming to the last point of job description, it is working conditions. So what are working conditions? Any kind of posture that is required. What are your timings? You need to do the work fast or slow or moderate. What is your rest period? What is the breaks that you have? Do you have a coffee vending machine? You have proper ventilation or not? All this comes under working conditions. So if you go to see job description kya hai? It is a mix of everything related to a job. Now let me come to job specification. What is job specification? Standard of an employee. Okay. Job specification according to Edwin Flippo is a statement of the minimum acceptable human qualities that is necessary to perform a job properly. Okay. So now what type of employees do you need to perform that particular job? Uske quality kya hai, uske qualification kya hai, BCom graduate, MCom, MBA, whatever is needed, all that comes under job specification. So basically qualities of an employee and qualifications of an employee to perform that particular job. So job description is about the job and job specification is about the employee. Please keep that in mind. Okay. Now, job specification is divided into 4 areas. That is mental characteristics. What is mental characteristics? It includes general intelligence, aptitude, mental alertness, ability to concentrate, reasoning skills, creativity, innovativeness. All this, if you go to see, they're all related to your mind. Okay. There are some jobs that require tremendous creativity. So let's say for example, the job of a content writer. आपके Instagram के content writing बहुत होते हैं. तो उसके लिए you need a lot of creativity and intelligence. Okay. Next is personality characteristics or personal characteristics. Age, gender, education, pleasing personality, good communication skills, problem solving skills. All this comes under personal characteristics. Work experience. Next is physical characteristics. So we say na minimum qualification MBA. That is personal characteristics. Okay. Within the age of 35 years. That is personal characteristics. What is physical characteristics? Physical characteristics include height, health, hearing, vision. Let's say for a pilot. So a pilot needs to have a very, very strong vision, without which he's not going to get a job of a pilot. Okay, all this comes under physical characteristics. Next is social and psychological characteristics. It involves your emotional stability, human skills, conversational skills, social relations. All this comes under social and psychological characteristics. So let's say, for example, a salesman, he works under a lot of pressure. So he needs to have emotional stability. Okay, he deals with a lot of customers, a lot of people, and that's why he needs to have social and people skills. So how is job description important? So job description is important for the company so that company can get an idea of what that job is demanding. Once they describe the job, they can do proper placement, they can do proper promotions and transfers. Looking at the job description, the employee is in a position to take a call whether they have to take a job or not. Okay, job description, depending on the level and the difficulty of the job, the company can take a call whether they have to give them compensation at what level. That is decided. Okay, what is the uses of job specification? It enables selection of employees. It helps them to provide training. So मान लो if an employee is lacking any of those skills, the company can provide the employee with training. Okay, so this is how job analysis forms a very, very important aspect which is done before recruitment and selection. Now, job description and job specification, what is the difference? Again, I'm telling you, job description describes the job, whereas job specification describes the qualities and the qualifications of an employee. Okay, job description is done before and then followed by job specification. Job description is more complex in nature क्योंकि you first have to define the job. Only then you will identify कि इस job को who will be doing it. Okay. Now, job description gives clear idea to the candidate on what job is required to be done, whereas job specification makes the employee understand whether they have those qualifications and whether they will be able to perform that job or not. So job analysis is an important step in the entire process of human resource management. Let's move on to the next topic of this part 2 of this module, that is job design. What is job design? Job design refers to an appropriate job structure in terms of content, function, and relationships. This definition is given by Harold Kuhns and Heinz Wheelridge. People spend a lot of time on their job, so it's very, very important for HR managers to design jobs so that employees feel good about it. Okay, only when employees feel good about their job, they will be performing much more than what is being expected. Thus, it is the duty of the HR manager to structure and define jobs so that it meets the expectations and needs of the employees. Okay, the job must be meticulously designed by the HR managers so that the employee feels comfortable related to the job. What is the main objective of job design? Job design is basically aimed to develop a proper match between the job and the job holder so that the job is performed effectively and efficiently. Okay, now when we say that what do I have to do as an accounts manager, so that what do I have to do has to be designed in a way that the employee understands actually what he has to do in that particular job. Now, there are two types of approaches to job design. One is traditional and one is modern. Traditional job design is based on scientific management that is led by F.W. Taylor and followed further by Henry Gnat Frank Gilbert and Lillian Gilbert. Traditional job design takes into account various technical aspects of a job. Okay. Traditional work design basically places emphasis on work simplification, which is simple, safe, and it minimizes mental and physical demands on the worker. So traditional techniques are divided into three areas: time study, motion study, and fatigue study. So time study jobs are designed taking into consideration the time that is required to complete a particular job. This concept was developed by F.W. Taylor in 1880s. So what is time study? Now time study is something which I will say that a 9 to 5 job. So how did anyone come to this concept of an 8-hour work? They have to design that job in a way that that employee completes that entire work in 8 hours along with his rest period, personal needs, any kind of untoward incident. So there are certain jobs which have certain timings. So a job of a professor in a degree college in Mumbai is basically 5 hours for the commerce management sections. In a week it's designed to be about 40 hours. So these kind of designing is done, and when the time taken by a qualified worker is determined, that is called as a time study. Okay, let's come to the next component of a traditional technique, that is motion study. Okay, so what is motion study? Motion study is where jobs are designed to eliminate unnecessary or wasteful movements. This concept was introduced by Frank Gilbert and Lillian Gilbert. Okay, this motion study, it studies the motions or movements of workers. So let's say, for example, construction industry. So construction industry, so they studied the bricklayer movements. Okay, and then they told the workers that there are unnecessary movements that could be easily eliminated so that your job could be performed in a better manner. So when we study the movements of workers and give them a strategy to eliminate unnecessary movements, that study was called as motion study. Now what is fatigue study? These jobs are designed with emphasis to reduce fatigue. What is fatigue? Fatigue means tiredness. Okay, so fatigue was a very, very important aspect because it was directly related to productivity. So what happens with tiredness? Tiredness reduces your productivity. So you have to design your job in a way that the employees are given proper rest time so that they do not get tired in their work and the productivity increases. So this concept also was introduced by Frank Gilbert and Lillian Gilbert in 1990. So these were the three traditional techniques. Now let's come to the modern techniques. Now modern techniques takes into account human aspects of a job. If traditional techniques took over the scientific management of the job, the modern techniques took into consideration the human aspects of the job. Okay. In traditional techniques, more emphasis was given on work simplification, whereas in modern techniques, more emphasis were given on psychological as well as technical aspects of a particular job. Job simplification forms the first component of modern techniques. So jobs that are divided into smaller parts so that each subpart could be assigned to certain worker. So what happens, that particular worker is given one part of a big job and that leads to specialization. तो हम क्या करते हैं, एक बड़े काम को हिस्सों में बांटते हैं और हर एक हिस्से को एक एम्प्लॉय को देते हैं ताकि वो एम्प्लॉय उस काम को बखूबी निभा सके और वो उस काम में माहिर हो जाए, एंड दैट इज कॉल्ड एज जॉब simplification. Okay, next one is job rotation. What is job rotation? Job rotation reduces monotony and boredom मतलब बोर होना. क्या होता है ना, एक एम्प्लॉय एक ही काम कर करके बोर हो जाता है. ओके, सो व्हाट हैपेंस इज, कंपनी क्या करते हैं, एक इंसान को थोड़े दिन के लिए या थोड़े साल के लिए एक ही काम करवाते हैं और थोड़े समय बाद उसको दूसरे काम में शिफ्ट करते हैं। इससे क्या फ़ायदा होता है? इससे ये पहला फ़ायदा तो ये होता है कि उसकी मोनोटनी या बोर्डन कम हो जाए, लेकिन एक और फ़ायदा ये होता है कि वो एम्प्लॉय अगर छुट्टी ले या नहीं पहुंच पाए समय पर काम में, तो वो जो सीख रहा है वो काम, वो उस काम को निभा सके। तो फॉर एग्जाम्पल एक कैशियर को क्या दिया जाता है? डेटा एंट्री दिया जाता है, ताकि वो कैशियर डेटा एंट्री सीख ले। ओके, सो दिस इज कॉल्ड एज जॉब रोटेशन। नेक्स्ट modern technique of designing a job is job enlargement. Okay, what is job enlargement? Job enlargement refers to horizontal expansion of a job. What is horizontal expansion? यानी हम जॉब के स्कोप को इंक्रीज कर देते हैं। हम क्या करते हैं? जॉब के स्कोप को इंक्रीज कर देते हैं। ओके, हम we give the employee more tasks. Okay, but we do not increase the salary or promote the person. वो अभी जो काम कर रहा है उसके अलावा वही लाइन्स पे दूसरा भी काम करेगा। ओके, सो फॉर एग्जाम्पल इफ अ फैकल्टी इज टीचिंग कॉमर्स थियोरी सब्जेक्ट्स and if the faculty can take accounting subjects, the faculty will be given other subjects also, and that is job enlargement. Okay, ये इसका फ़ायदा क्या होता है? What happens is the employee is able to handle diversified aspects. Again ये monotony कम कर देता है. It could bring reward to the employees क्योंकि वो सीखता है. Okay. Next one is job enrichment. If job enlargement is horizontal expansion, job enrichment is vertical expansion. Okay. Vertical expansion means giving more challenges, more responsibility and freedom to the employees. Now this concept is the outcome of Frederick Herzberg's two-factor theory. Okay, so there are these motivational theories where you need to motivate employees to perform better, and job enrichment is one of the technique of motivating employees. So what is the advantage of job enrichment? Job enrichment means people understand their potential. उनको अचीवमेंट मिलता है, उनको अपॉर्चुनिटीज दिया जाता है जहां वो अपने आप को ग्रो कर सके. सो फॉर एग्जाम्पल, I am the normal professor, but I am given a challenging task of handling the department also. That is called as giving a challenging task, giving the employee more responsibility, less supervision and more freedom to perform that particular job, and that is called as job enrichment. Okay, what is the use of job enrichment? Job enrichment enables the employee to develop a positive attitude towards the job. He feels like he is a part of the organization, and that person's belongingness towards the organization increases because उसको ऐसे लगता है कि नहीं, कंपनी मुझे एक अपॉर्चुनिटी दे रही है जॉब करने के लिए. Okay, next is job flexibility. What is job flexibility? Means designing the job in a manner where the employees are given total freedom. Okay, they may not follow certain formalities that create impediment for satisfactory performance of their jobs. Okay, so what happens is, so in some colleges professors are given certain syllabus to complete within that particular time, but they are given complete freedom to use any mode of learning through which the students can understand the best, and there is very less interference on part of the top management. That is the most important aspect of job flexibility. Okay, so today in this slide, what did we learn about job design? Job design means you have to design your job in a manner that suits the expectations and needs of the employees. There are two techniques, that is traditional techniques and modern techniques. If traditional techniques focuses on scientific management, modern techniques focuses on or takes into account human aspects. Traditional techniques focuses on work simplification, whereas modern techniques focuses or emphasis on psychological as well as technical aspects of a job. Traditional techniques include time study, motion study, fatigue study, whereas modern techniques include job simplification, job rotation, job enlargement, job enrichment, and job flexibility. So out and out in this part of the video, we have covered 3 topics, that is HRP, human resource planning, job analysis, which consists of job description and job specification, and job design, which includes traditional and modern techniques. The next part, we will study recruitment selection. Okay. This recruitment and selection also forms a very important part of the HR concept, which we are going to study in the part 3 of this video.